Hey everyone, it's a fresh Sunday morning edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, and today is our much anticipated severe weather day, although it's not going to happen until this evening. During the daylight hours today, the weather may actually be pretty decent at times. Here's the radar as I record this at about 8:20 a.m. We've had a band of rain that moved through overnight, some hefty downpours with that. There's more rain down towards the Ohio River. Let me stop the motion on this and show you that as we get into northern Ohio and northwestern Ohio, there's not much going on. So I think this band of rain down here is likely to stay south of Route 30. So for a lot of us, not much is going to happen for the late morning today into the afternoon as well. So if you still need to do some things outdoors, today is far from a washout. Our low pressure system that's getting set to wreak all the havoc is out here across Iowa, heading into Wisconsin, Illinois. Thunderstorms already breaking out in parts of the upper Midwest. But we do expect later today for things to really get going first in through here, and then everything will advance east. That'll be starting this afternoon and heading into this evening. So let's bring up a computer model here, and it will show you. Let me take that off, and we'll bring up what the radar should look like as we head into this evening. This is a high-resolution computer model we use in the short term a lot. Usually does pretty well in these sorts of situations. And here we are at 5 o'clock this evening with what the radar generally should look like. And this is this dangerous band of storms out here, extending from Evansville up through Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, South Bend, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids. This line of storms at this point at 5 o'clock this evening could very well be producing a few tornadoes out in parts of Indiana, southwestern Michigan perhaps. And you'll notice out in eastern Ohio, western PA, well, there could be a shower around. Certainly no severe weather here at about sunset this evening at about 5 o'clock. Let's roll forward to 7 o'clock this evening. This is when the band will be pushing through Detroit, Toledo, Lima, heading down towards Cincinnati. Browns and Bengals, 1 o'clock kickoff this afternoon. They're going to get in that game with no severe weather. It's well after the game here at about 7:30 this evening that down towards Cincinnati they can have some really nasty weather. In our neck of the woods at 7 o'clock this evening, again, a couple of showers around, but no severe weather just yet. Let's roll forward to 9 o'clock this evening, right here. And this is at 9 o'clock this evening when our band of storms will likely be pushing through or approaching the I-77 corridor from Cleveland down through Akron, and then heading down towards the eastern suburbs of Columbus. Now you'll notice that the radar may not look quite as impressive at this time as it did a couple of hours earlier. Earlier, this band of storms may be a little bit disorganized. It's not going to be a thin band. It's going to be maybe several supercell thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes at about 4 or 5 this evening out in Indiana. As we go into the evening, the supercell threat becomes a little less, and what we will see evolve is more of like a thin band of thunderstorms, hopefully undergoing some weakening. One thing we have going in our favor with this is that by the time these storms arrive here, it will already have been dark for a good 4 to 5 hours. We will have lost the daytime heating well before the storms arrive. And that's not to, kind of poo-poo these too much, but that's something we do have going in our favor. It's one of the reasons why the tornado threat isn't nearly as high here in the Youngstown area as it is to the west. Out to the west, these storms will be hitting while it's still daylight or maybe just shortly afterwards. So it's one thing to keep in mind. Again, back to what the radar should look like, though, about 9 o'clock this evening, and then here is 10 o'clock. I think about 10 o'clock is when the bulk of the action is occurring in the Mahoning Valley from Trumbull County right on south through Mahoning and Columbiana. We're targeting about 9:30, 10:30 this evening. And then by 11, this is all pretty much getting to be east of I-79 in Pennsylvania. So Mercer, Lawrence, you're the last places to get it. And by midnight, the show's over. The line of storms has pushed east of Pittsburgh. It's over towards Du Bois, approaching Altoona and State College. So the window we're keeping a very close eye on this evening is from 9 to about 11, from west to east across the valley. Our main threat, again, not tornadoes, but damaging winds. I wanted to bring up the wind speeds expected this evening. Not here at the surface, but upstairs in the atmosphere, around maybe 4,000 or 5,000 feet. And these wind speeds are really impressive. The color guide may be a little hard to see, or maybe it's even just off your screen a little bit here on the left. But once you get into the white colors here, that means wind speeds up at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet could be as high as 70 to 80 miles per hour. these reddish colors here mean that there could be wind speeds upwards of 90 to almost 100 miles per hour up at about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. And these storms, as they continue pushing east, will try to bring down some of those really high wind speeds from 4,000 or 5,000 feet in the air down here to the surface where we live. So while 100-mile-per-hour winds, probably not something anyone's going to see, 50 to 60, perhaps even 70-mile-per-hour winds are a possibility as these storms pull down all of that wind energy from up in the atmosphere a little bit. So as we go towards, again, kind of the heart of things here at about 10 o'clock this evening, notice the wind speeds over our heads at about 5,000 feet could be somewhere up around 70, 80, even 90 miles per hour. This line of storms holds together enough that could equal wind speeds down here where we live upwards of 60 miles per hour. That could cause some damage. It could cause some tree limbs to come down. We could have power outages if you have any holiday decorations or lawn furniture or anything that's not tied down. Trash cans if tomorrow's your trash day. Secure things because we definitely have a flying trash can alert in effect for this evening. So that's how things look as far as kind of an analysis perspective. The Storm Prediction Center puts out these slight, moderate, and high risks. They're the entity responsible for doing that, and if it will come up, maybe. Looks like my Google Earth doesn't quite want to bring up the information here, but what you would see is that there is a high risk of severe weather out here, which is very rare for anywhere in the Ohio Valley anyway, even in the spring, but let alone in November. They very rarely put out a high risk for this region of the country. November, even more rare. The moderate risk comes over to about here, so we are on the cusp of the moderate risk zone. Even moderate risks are very rare for November. So the bottom line is you need to be weather aware this evening and keep a close eye to the sky. And also be sure and follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Storm Tracker 21 on both Facebook and Twitter. I'm Eric WFMJ on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, put meteorologist in front of my name, and like my page. You'll get my updates there. I also, just this weekend, I'm launching a blog, a weather blog, that will allow me to kind of go a little more in-depth in terms of weather analysis and opinion. You'll head over to ericwfmj.com. I apologize, my program tried to lock up on me a little bit here. But ericwfmj.com, there's not much on there just yet because I just launched this thing last night. But I'm going to keep that updated as well throughout the day. So you've got all sorts of resources of information at your disposal as we head towards this severe weather event for this evening. Well, that's a special Sunday edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll be updating this video again later on today, and I'll see you on the air as well. I'll be on WFMJ today, weekend today, again this morning at 9, and I'll be joining Mike Joyce this evening at 6 o'clock as well.